going on, guys? Welcome to the Essential Scares Podcast, the only show that dares to ask the question, is it essential? I am your host, Corbin. With me today, as always, is Alan.
Apparently, I want to just punch my mic in its face today, so here we are.
And Bobby.
Alan's mic has been haunted by the Abaddon Hotel.
There's a gate to hell slowly opening on my mic front.
On your pop filter.
It's just I'm being assaulted with hellspawn right now. It's very brutal. I don't know what I'm going to do through this episode. But here we are.
I have faith that you'll make it through the episode. Oh boy, well, we have got an amazing show for you today. We are finishing off our look at the two Hell House sequels and completing the trilogy with Hell House LLC 3, The Lake of Fire. But first, Bobby has a spoiler warning.
I do. This will serve as your first, one, and only spoiler warning for Hell House LLC 3, The Lake of Fire. If you do not want Hell House LLC 3, The Lake of Fire spoiled for you, please skip the time code provided in our show notes or description for our essential spoiler-free discussion. Hell House LLC 3 proves once again that the Hell House LLC format is still scary despite overly clubbed over your head Christ metaphors. Alan.
You know, Bobby, on that note, I brought some wine today. I wanted to start drinking wine in the podcast. And maybe if you all could just look to your left for me real quick, you'll see that bread that just appeared there. That's the body of Christ. Fun fact.
You mean the body of Wynn?
So X amount of years, I don't remember exactly how many years afterwards.
9.
The events, 9 years after. There's a lot of time gaps for a movie that came out bang, 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 which is just kind of funny. We have yet another group trying to turn the Abaddon Hotel into an attraction of some kind. But things seem to be going fine this time. Oh my gosh. There's a buddy system. There's, people are doing this whole play and this dramatization within the hotel. Lo and behold, things start to go to literal hell because, of course it does. This is Hell House. You knew the people who weren't going to make it out alive that wouldn't make it out alive until they did. And it finds a way, again, to repeat the formula, like Bobby said. If you've seen the other two films, you've seen this film, just with a different shade of paint over the top of it. And a little more Christ-like imagery. I didn't like it.
Yes,
I liked it.
I was going to say, it was similar to the other movies, but it didn't impede my enjoyment at all.
Actually, wait, can I say this before we get into that?
Yeah.
My one major criticism is that they were overly over the top with it, and this time they were the characters were understated and all likable. Even you got everybody's motive, and it all felt good. I was like, oh yeah, I like everybody. I like the director. What was his name?
Wynn? It was Wynn Media.
No, the COO. Justin.
Not Jeff. Not Jeff. The other one.
Harvey.
Harvey.
Harvey was great.
Okay.
I liked Harvey a lot. He was very fun. Fuck, I'm dying. Big fan of Harvey. Big fan, just like all the characters. Big fan of the guy who was Max. I think Mephistopheles, big fan of that. Like, the characters in this movie were great, which is like the big issue with the Abaddon Hotel. Could have been a little less heavy-handed with the Christ metaphors, because it was very clear that they were trying to make it like Russell's this big evil, but it's like, no, he's not. Like, he's so not. And then they it was really good. I liked it a lot.
I'm okay with the heavy-handedness, because this whole franchise is pretty heavy-handed,
for sure.
So it's not out of character for this one to decide we'll spend most of the movie focusing on this heavy-handed good metaphor instead of this heavy-handed hell metaphor. It's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah. And as you know from this podcast, we are 3 good Catholic boys.
That's right. Yeah.
See our Midnight Mass episode.
I'll say that what I really loved about this one is that they went back to the formula of the first movie.
That's
Yes.
And
exactly what I
had
was
an
gonna say.
attraction in the hotel. Like they built up all the scares like in a normal movie. Like they had the attraction in the hotel. Like everything that worked from the first one, including having like a solid character base, having a scare set up a certain way. Like this movie had all of those things, just like a little bit different, a little bit new, which was really cool. Like a lot of things that were missing, I think, from the second one.
The most unbelievable thing about this movie is the fact that there could be a top 100 most richest man in the world who's focused on live theater.
Very true.
Completely unbelievable.
That was Bobby's rips him out of the moment.
I was like,
right
that was my Alan
It's been a
moment.
long time since we had one of those.
Yeah, that was my Alan. It was like, no, he's not. If he's Win Media Group, unless he owns every playhouse on Broadway, which he doesn't, like, there's just no way. He's one of the richest. And even then, there's no way. Like, they are on a razor-thin margin, those Broadway theater companies. Like,
yeah, top 10,000 richest people, maybe.
yeah.
Maybe.
He's a millionaire. I'll give him that. He's at
got a vineyard. That's a big capital expense right there.
He's at like
another money hole.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He's at like a Hasanabi level of like millionaire, like the socialist millionaire. That's where his ass is at. He is not Mr. Beast's level of even rich.
When the other thing you mentioned at Corbin, that this kind of went back to more of the formula of the first, where you have like a real found footage film here.
For sure.
Where you have a distinct build up into and crescendo. That is very distinct here. And the one scene I specifically want to call out that did it so well is every found footage has a great fake out that makes you scared, makes you think something bad is going to happen, and it doesn't. But then you come and find out that there was a bad thing. You just didn't see it in the background. So the moment I'm talking about is where our reporter, Sarah, and her camera guy, he's like,
Vanessa.
hey, I gotta go... Vanessa? I thought her name was Sarah.
I'm looking at
It's
the cast list right now.
Vanessa. Vanessa and her camera guy are like, he's like, I gotta go outside. I'm gonna leave you in here alone. And nothing happens. It's scary. Makes you think something's gonna happen, but nothing happens. And what I love about that is they go back and he's like, hey, I think I captured something on my camera. And it's like, oh my God, there was something that, like, it understands.
You're confusing two scenes, but yes.
Factor. Am I?
Yeah, because that's the scene where
because...
they see Jessica from the second movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, the scene where he walks out, she goes through heaven and then sees Jessica.
Oh.
Yeah, the first scene is like he puts the camera down to like adjust something.
That's what I'm thinking.
And I think it's Molly in the background.
Mm.
Yeah, because like that's again really cool moment actually. Just to like jump off that. Everybody who died in this movie, in the past two movies, reprises their roles as like background ghosts.
I love that. Like, what a great way to expand like the opportunity for scares. Yeah.
One of the scariest moments in that entire movie is when she like lifts the girl. What's her face? The girl with the curly hair. The actress, where she lifts the camera up. And everybody's just behind her.
Yes.
And, like, it's so, like, if you don't even, like, it's so hard not to pay attention to it because it's just so out there. But, like, Max is there. Alex is there. No, not Max. Paul. That's like a mustache from the first movie, right? They're all just there in the back. And it's just like, oh, no, this is bad.
Well,
and
bad, like, even leading, well, but they earn that, too, because leading up to it, you see them following her.
Yeah.
Like, you see ghosts, you know that she's being followed by the originals. And then they're all there. Like, it's so, like, so incredibly creepy. And then, of course, the clown. The clown. My God.
I love that they used the clown almost more as, like, a fake-out this time. Because, like, now it's, like, the third movie, and you really expect the clown to be, like, really scary. And so he just gets like one good scare, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the basement. And any other time he's around, he's just, he's scared.
There.
You know that he could do things. But unlike the second movie or the first movie, even, like, he's never physical. He's never like the main scare. And I like that, like, he is scarier just for being there, for this being the third movie, which is a great utilization of him, I think.
Again, this movie knows at this point that, like, if you haven't seen the first 2 movies, you're not watching this. So, like, they go even more full hog on it. Oh. And I'll say this, actually, I said I don't think that this movie would be better as an Ex Machina. I said that at the end of I stand by that. Number 2, it was kind of, at this point, a lovely waste of time. Because this movie could have happened.
You can kind of go from like 1 to 3, yeah,
easily. And the only thing that you miss is some of the corpse people,
and you could easily you can rationalize that with, they're just other dead people that were spliced throughout.
I mean, they show about as much of the second movie's cast as they do flashbacks from the second movie that were like the other vignettes.
Yeah,
like that has like just as much airtime. So like the whole second movie is just treated as like another thing that happened. Like it's like doesn't matter at all.
It's really good though. Like, but I would say that like this movie is better. This movie is a like return to form almost. Like it's not. It's not. I wouldn't say it's as good as the first one. Obviously, we're gonna get our scores right, but I would say that like it's damn near close, right? And it puts a nice button at the end, like, and then it doesn't, right? Because that last scene is just so fucking pointless. But like. Everything up to it is just really good. It's like, because it's like, okay, cool, little fun, happy ending. It's like, nope, gotta be sad still. Like, but it's it's fucking good. This movie's really good. Like,
yeah, it is.
I have a question for you guys.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm gonna slightly poison the well here. Okay. Just a little, just a small poisoning. Okay?
Poison that well.
Okay.
Poison that well.
I do have a small poison point to make as well. So yeah,
I'll poison the show as well.
The second degree I had to fill my credit hours because that's how getting a second bachelor's degree works. You know, I only had to do a very small amount of credit hours to get my actual degree because it doesn't matter. I filled it with a bunch of bullshit classes. One of those being stage makeup. Because why not? I needed 3 credit hours. It seemed like a fun idea. One of those things we did was make scars. Russell's scar was very bad.
Yeah.
It was so radically,
yeah.
And it's one of those things where I'm frustrated because it's like, this is genuinely like one of the most basic type of prosthetics that any like stage makeup worth their snuff should be able to do that like effectively. It just was not there.
And I've done stage work where I've had to use prosthetic scars, right? Like not anything good, but like, and typically you use spirit gum and you raise, right?
Exactly.
And for some reason there's like
around your natural
they're like,
face.
let's just draw a line.
Yeah. Well, and you could see like it was you could see they had too much on his face because you could literally
it was
see
like a big
where
like it was like
connects.
rounded, like
it was just a very bad prosthetic, and it was sometimes it was okay, other times it was very bad, and it
changed throughout the movie.
Weird.
It was not like it was not a consistent and you know, this movie obviously, I would imagine this movie does not have a lot of a budget, and most of the budget went into casting the actors and paying the actors, which is probably why they got so many of the original actors to come back. They're like, hey, we'll give you money for it, which is worth it in the end. But like, and yeah, it's like minor gripes, and the fact that they go back to low budget on Hell too, good. I'm so much happier for that, because like the blowing open of the wall into felt. I know it
not worth it.
Out,
wasn't worth it.
Yeah, wasn't
made me jump out of my skin.
Yeah, but like everything about this being so much more like attempting to be lo-fi with weird hi-fi moments on like the gore bits, like where like the girl gets pulled back and then all of a sudden it's like okay, that's like they're definitely using an HD camera there for some reason, but like there's a lot of cool moments there.
I mean, they had HD cameras. It was 2018.
Yeah, that's fair. I will say that I will say this, however. They claim you see everybody every character dying, like all the main characters dying on like trying to leave. I did not notice most of them dying. Like it was because like it was so chaotic.
Yeah,
Like-
I think they were. It was just like
It was
in
it was
the.
yeah. I think they're on screen. You can see them dying, but like so like again, obviously this is a spoiler cast, so you know exactly what we're talking about. Russell Wynn, who is our Christ-like character, is actually summoning Andrew Tully to try to close the door permanently, and he does this by doing another event to summon to basically recapture the incident from Hell House. Doing this, he essentially brings out a bunch of demons and cultists to kill everybody in Hell House. This is the big scene. And so that's what we're talking about right now. And everybody apparently dies in gruesome fashion, even though I don't see half the people dying. Very cool scene. Very just it's I think actually more effective than the original Hell House's chaos. Because it's just
I think I agree. They learned a few tricks along the way, you know, to make a better version of the first movie's finale, right?
Yeah.
I think the great example of that is when they finally utilize the Lazy Susan and they have the camera on it,
so
just
good.
rotating 6 times, and what a great way to kind of show the chaos but while still doing the found footage, you don't see everything, cutting away very naturally and letting another scene happen.
So fun. It took me a minute to recognize
really,
what was
really
happening.
well done.
It took me a
I did
minute
too. At first, I was like, "What exactly is happening here?"
Yeah. For a split second, I started to get a little dizzy, and I was like, "I'm on a I had to go. I'm on a Lazy Susan. Okay, I'm good now."
I thought at first they were going to utilize the Lazy Susan for the sound that it made, because the first thing that they mentioned the sound of it, I was like, "Ooh, that'll be a creepy sound later on." It wasn't.
I really loved how when Tully shows up during the production of Insomnia, Gregory just rolls with it. You know, he's like, okay, there's someone else here. I've been doing theater my whole life.
I'm an
professional. Yeah,
I've done Shakespeare in the Park.
Oh my god, the best line
me and
in
Amy
the films.
You and
You're
Amy
tree
Adams,
3.
You're tree number 3.
There were 2 better than you. What a line! Oh my god.
No, but I will say,
so
Andrew Tully's been a wet fart for most of this series, but his introduction here's that's not how he does it. It's just what do you mean it's not how he does it? He doesn't make bargainings for souls. It's just oh no, because you know some shit's about to go down, but him just
and then his hands are in his skull.
Yeah.
So just to bring it back down a little bit, what I'll say, my one piece of poison for the well here. Right before the movie proper starts, there's text on the screen, and it says the morning mystery tapes or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And that set me up for the wrong expectation for a long time, because I thought
100% agree with you.
I was like, oh my god, what a great way to do this. We're gonna see the same thing happen 3 times from 3 different points of view, and at the end of the movie we're gonna put it all together and be like, whoa, that was how it all happened. And then the movie, it was just regular, and I don't know, it kind of bummed me out. I felt like I was teased for a really cool idea that it didn't even attempt to put together.
And they even set it up when she's like, "Here, I want all of you to have a camera,"
which is a really cool way to do
why we're gonna have multiple people showing their
like we're doing right now on our screen, just have a triple screen happening at the same time.
Exactly.
Yeah. Man,
it could have been
all the audio.
I thought stuff was gonna happen. Yep.
Yeah.
So that was probably, honestly, my biggest disappointment of the movie, was something that is almost outside of the movie. It was just I thought
you wanted the movie to be kind of different.
Yeah. I wouldn't have if they didn't do that.
Yeah.
I never would have thought about that, but they put it in my brain and then didn't do anything with it.
No, I get that. In all honesty, that would have been kind of cool. I think ultimately it still works, because again, it obviously, right? I will say, because we get to have this Our Great Moments, I will say that they tried so hard to like get you with a fast one that Russell Wind's actually the good guy, that like they pretended that they weren't incredibly heavy-handed with like, because like obviously what they were trying to do is they were trying to fake you out that he made like a deal for his soul because he should have died on the right, but it's like no, they're not. Like he's got the Catholic priest on his side, like go talk to the Catholic. Like it's like so clearly like that, like he's an angel of the Lord or whatever. Like he's sacrificing himself for all mankind, and it's like it's fun, but like just lean in. Like don't try to pretend like. And I'm sure it actually got a lot of people who didn't watch these movies back to back to back, like. Because, like, and especially people who are not as, who are not 3 confirmed Catholics.
Fair.
Like, because, like, there's, like, you know, the Temptations of Christ in the desert, right? Like, Tully is supposed to be Wynn's temptation in the desert or whatever. Like, it was ultimately a fun moment, but, like, also, like, there's just no way I'm ever going to buy that this guy who, like, seems ultimately nice and like what like this, like it's a question that they're not hoping you ask, but like why would he tell Vanessa not to come? Why would he tell Vanessa not to come? Like, and so like that's
like if he was trying to do something evil, he'd want everybody there, right? Like right.
If he's trying to get his place in hell, like like it's just not so again, ultimately good, but like also like Like it, and then obviously that last scene was that like the kind of post credit scene. It felt like it should have been like happening during the credits.
Some of it did kind of, and then it didn't. Like it was kind of a weird way to my only issue with that last scene is that I wish it ended when you saw Max. I forget his name. The first guy, like they cut back to him like laying on the ground, and then he stands up. I wish it just like stopped right there. I didn't need to see like everything else.
Let it be ambiguous at that point.
Are they all back alive, or are they? But the fact that they go, nope, you're all in purgatory now.
Yeah, like I didn't need that extra. It was like that scene was like 5 minutes long, and it was really cool seeing the cast all together again. Like as a fan of the franchise, I liked it, but it felt like I think for the film, it didn't need to be quite that long. It could have probably just been credits and then cut and show just him like come back and then cut back to the credits.
They could have done the Mass Effect 3 Renegade option where Shepard pulls his hand. Yeah. Exactly. I absolutely agree with you. Like because everybody likes Paul, I think is the guy's name.
He was the second in command, right?
Paul was the guy. Paul was the main camera.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, the guy who the demon girl's behind him, and it's like the scariest part of the first film. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that part is so good.
Speaking of scariest parts of films, scariest part of this movie for you guys.
So it wasn't this. I'll say it wasn't the scariest thing, but the thing that I kept expecting to be the scariest thing was the heaven hallway. Every time they went down that hallway, I was waiting. I was on the edge of my seat. I'm waiting for it to be scary. I'm like, I'm tense. I'm ready for something to happen, and it never did, except for that one. I mean, there's a couple of like small things, so it's not like they completely didn't use it, but that for me was like the scariest aesthetic that wasn't necessarily used.
And it shouldn't have been. That's the freaky part, because it's the lightest part of, like the lights are always on in that hallway, like
but so I don't know.
I know
for an actual, but
no, I think that's actually a good answer to that point, because like you're always tense in that hallway despite nothing. Like it's the safest place, right?
Yeah,
legitimately,
exactly.
Nobody
see everything. Like
nobody dies. Even the person who like they show get like the blood splatter at the end, it gets dragged out of the heaven hallway, which like it kind of implies that like they're like this is actually a safe zone. If you just hang out there, you're good. Like
even after the next time you see the heaven hallway after that part is from somebody's like POV, and the cultist like runs up on him, but the guy had clearly like backed out into like the next hallway like behind it. It's like, okay, it's kind of like a cool way to do that section, but
But you're still like, it's pretty. There's just something about it, the stark white. Yeah, I agree.
For me, it's easily Jane's sequence going into the house by herself. That whole, the moment she picks up the camera, this was me watching the film. Oh no. And I did one of these and just got close to the screen, and then my heart rate started going up, and then the ghosts start happening, and then everyone's behind. Like, it's just, it was one of those things I knew it was going to happen, so it shouldn't have been so scary, but it fucking worked. Like, they got me, damn it, again. I'm such a sucker for these types of scares. Just, I am. They get me hook, line, and sinker every time.
I mean, that's
sure.
fair.
Bobby,
Sarah, that's Alex's girlfriend from the first movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Something about her showing up every movie and doing that, like, you're gonna fucking torture, and like we're like just like every time,
also scary.
Every time she's like, "Oh yeah, don't worry, you're never going to leave. You're gonna fucking torture tonight." It's like, God damn it! Like, I don't like that. I don't like it. I don't like it. Like last movie where she's like, "Don't worry, don't. Oh yeah, so and so is here too, and he's already dead. He's coming with us." It's like, no. Like, there's something about a voice going several octaves lower saying you're gonna die here. That's just like, don't like that even a little bit.
That's like some built-in genetic nonsense where your brain's like, no.
Yeah,
this is not. I'm not safe. I need to not be here.
So here's the thing with that. I think hearing myself say it. This is like a personal story. So I work as a social worker in my day job, and I went to a training on stalking, and I volunteered to have stalkerware used on me at part of the training seminar. And so stalkerware is really fucked up, and you should never use it, because if you are, get help, get therapy, please God, get therapy. So the trainer was like, "Okay, can I see something real quick?" And she looked at my thing, and she grabbed a random number from my contacts. It was my brother's phone number. And then during the training, randomly, she just called my brother's phone using my brother's phone number. And it was just, I picked it up. I'm like, "Joy, what do you want?" And it was just like, "Bobby, I still want to be with you. Bobby, I still love you. I still want to rest you, Bobby." I was like, "What the hell is happening?" And then she walks in and is like, "Bobby, I'm so sorry I scared you." And I was just like, So I think there's something about that voice changing that just scares the shit out of me going forward now. But like, it's so effective, because like, you're just sitting there and they're all just like, "Oh, who's he talking to? And you can kind of, because again, we watched all these movies very recently. It's like, "Oh, that's Sarah's voice. That's not good. That's really bad." Like,
that's a voice of a dead person.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
She's been dead for 9 years. So yeah, great, fantastic. Again, all of yours were really good as well, but like, for some, that was just, and that last sequence was also really, really good.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was much as it wasn't as scary as much as it was a payoff, I think. Because like, you wanted, like, you're like, okay, like, it was the same thing with, like, I think one of the criticisms we had for Hell House 2 was like, okay, I guess, right? Like this movie clearly has a better budget, but like, clearly not enough gore. And this movie's like, "You sure you want that?"
I literally wrote that down, actually. I was like, letting the cultists out of hell to kill everyone is great. Makes up for the second movie. Yeah.
It's like,
I also don't think that section was scary necessarily, but I think that it was high tension. Yeah. And I think it's hard sometimes to make like a frenetic scene high tension when, like, in found footage, when you're expecting, the whole movie is supposed to be more of like a slow burn or like a scary style movie. That. Yeah. And like, that's one of the things that I always really, really loved about Cloverfield. One of my favorite found footage movies ever. Is like, I think that movie does like freneticism really, really well in found footage.
I think, yeah, and this might be a weird thing for me, and forgive me on this. Like, we've gone from a world where, like, we've gone from a like serial killer being like the fear everybody has to like the mass killer, the mass shooter, right? And I think from the outside looking in, and I say this as an outsider, right? We think this shit just happens so fast, right? But I don't think that's the scary bit. And it's only the scary bit from like the outsider perspective. But like when you're watching a horror movie, you're the insider, because this movie is meant to be like a mass event, right? Like Jason Voorhees killing 8 co-heads over the course of a night is still a mass fucking murder. But like it takes like the whole time to do that, right? I think part of that is that, right? And like just this really like it's legitimately it's quick. It's like if you can deeply consider that this thing takes place over the course of 90 minutes, and like that's when it's like, and you feel that, right?
Yeah.
Or a half an hour, for instance, of the best Friday the 13th movie, obviously Friday the 13th 2008, right? There's that takes place over the course of a half an hour. That's still really scary, but like I think it's difficult to capture those two because it feels slower. But like the freneticness of it being fast feels also like almost too fast for you to really get freaked out by it. You're just more like, oh fuck, oh Jesus, oh God, like there's a little like, I don't know. I feel like it's not bad, but it's just different.
It's like when the wheels fall off, they really fall off, and that's the allure, you know. Yeah. You kind of made it out. You know, Jason kills 8 people in the course of a 90-minute film. Well, 90 people die in about 15 minutes in this film. So but you earn that over the time period.
Exactly.
So like, it feels a lot more like you don't have enough time to process what's happening. But I can sit there and watch Jason X and go, 50 minutes into the film, still be going, he froze a person's head and smashed it into a million pieces. Like, you can just kind of digest that. You don't have time to digest. That's not even the best thing that he does in that movie. I love that kill. He legitimately blows up a planet. I know.
Yeah, he legitimately kills like I think they say like 4.5 million people. Like
Which is always funny when you think about when they do like the kill counts for the classic slashers. It's like, dude, like blew up a planet. Like there's no contest.
No contest. Super Smash Bros.
Well, that's
his final smash. It's blowing up the whole arena.
Jason Voorhees money matches the entire slasher genre. God damn it. Oh no.
Oh god.
Money match Jason Voorhees in Smash.
You watch it?
Yeah, absolutely I would.
Yeah, of course.
I can't wait for Jason Voorhees to be Pinhead at Evo.
Okay. Man.
Speaking of Evo, what are we gonna rate this bad boy?
Well, how do we even rate Bad Boys?
It's a great point. How do we rate Bad Boys? We rate them out of 0 to 5 with half points allowed.
Correct.
Yes. Fuck it.
Yep.
I'll go first.
Ooh.
I said this movie is probably slightly worse than Hell House 1. And the more and more I've sat with Hell House 1, the more and more I realize I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. I'm going to stand by that. And I'm going to give it like a 4.75, 4 out of 5? 4.5 out of 5, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And I say that to say that this movie is also getting a 4.5 out of 5, but it's getting the 4.25 on the 4.5 out of 5, right? That it's a little bit better than a 4 would give it, but it's not so much.
The score doesn't reflect that it's
they're equally, but you can always go back and listen to know exactly how I feel about it, right? It's really good. I liked it a lot. It's a little bit more heavy-handed than Hell House would be, right? But I think ultimately it's a really fitting conclusion, and it feels like a good ending, right? In the same way that like Return of the Jedi is just like, this just feels like, okay, this is like a good period, right?
Yeah.
Hell House 3,
yeah.
Hell House 3 feels like a very good, just like, okay, it's done. Love that. That's a good three-peat. If more movies come out, that's fine, but I don't need to watch any more of them to get the story of this movie. And like that feels really good to me. So yeah, it's a 4.5 out of 5 for me. a little bit in the lower half of the 4.5 out of 5, but still a worthy 4.5 out of 5.
Okay.
Me or you?
So
You?
I'll go.
Take it away.
I feel very similarly. I mean, I know that there's another movie coming, right? There's a fourth movie coming,
For sure.
but it's a prequel, and I like that because there's
that idea.
There's clearly a lot more that we can explore backwards. But I like Bobby, like I like this as the end. Like I could probably watch another 6 Hell House movies that take place before this. At a bare minimum, I need a movie about that carnival. At a bare minimum.
Minimum. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the next one coming. It's got to be, right?
It's got to be right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they hinted at a carnival.
Yeah. I agree that this one is a little bit worse than Hell House, the first one. I gave the first one a 5. I think it's just like it's probably as accomplished as a found footage almost, but it's missing a little bit of that homegrown feel, a little bit of that vibe that really
Grit.
puts. Yeah, and I think that helps a lot for the genre. It's kind of the same reason why like we haven't talked about them yet, but I really liked the third Blair Witch movie, but it's just not as good as the first one because it's missing a little bit of that edge. And so for me, this one is going to be a 4.5 out of 5. I gave the second one a 4, the first one a 5. This one's right in the middle. I think it's better than the second one. I really, really liked it, but it's not quite a 5.
I'm kicking myself for not giving the first one a 5, to be honest with you. In hindsight,
it's funny you say that.
The spread is
I will be So we've hinted at the illustrious 100th episode of the show coming up in a few months. We've got a ways to get there still. This is episode 83.
In a few months?
Yeah.
We've got like 20 weeks, my guy.
It's a few months.
Yes, it's a few months.
Yeah. All this is to say, Hell House, the original, might end up on my amended list. I'm not going to confirm or deny anything. With that being said, though, Hell House LLC 3 is a 4.5 out of 5. It is not better than the first Hell House. It's just not. Hell House, the original, it captures that like unprofessional nature that I think the best found footage movies know how to synthesize into something that is still very watchable, and just puts you so just into the movie. You know, you really feel like you're there. That's kind of the whole allure of this type of horror in the first place. And this movie just is a bit too it's like too buttoned up. You know, it's too clean. It needs a little more grit, dirt, and you know, like just we talked about that a little bit in the last episode, how improvised dialogue helps to bridge that gap a lot. But yeah, I think ultimately it's a 4.5. It is a very, very good film. It's still scary. It amazes me that this idea is so good. They've given us the same movie 3 times, and we're like, this is great. And like unironically too, like we're not sitting here like having an ironic discussion about how like okay, no, it's just good.
Found footage haunted house is just a good time.
It's a great formula that I'm okay with them milking. And you know, when the next one comes out, I'll be happy to watch it. It's a Shudder exclusive, so it's going to be one we can easily have access to. So
big fans of Shudder here on the show.
Absolutely.
Shudder, please pay us. Please give us money, Shudder.
I would
please.
take your money. I will shill your service in a heartbeat.
No, yeah, we do it for free already, but like
this is true.
You give us a promo code, I'm pretty sure we can get our fans to make it happen.
But that's shilling Shudder isn't the only thing to do around here. We also discuss whether or not a movie is essential to horror as a whole. So this section is completely spoiler-free. If you skipped ahead to this part, we all gave Hell House LLC 3, The Lake of Fire, 4.5 out of 5. I believe we said yes to the first Hell House. We said no to the second Hell House. Gentlemen, is Hell House 3 essential? Bobby, let's repeat the order.
Yeah, that's fair. This one's a pure gut check. because I feel like I talked myself into saying yes. But the reality is no, it's not for me. My first thought immediately was like, great movie, really fun, not essential. Like that, like I didn't take notes, but if I were, that would have been my final note. I just like, it's really good. It's a really fun conclusion, but ultimately, I struggle to give more than one movie in a series an essential point. Like I just do, and like this one, like even movies I'm biased towards, like I can't. Like there's just like it what does it do, right? Like besides be really fun and really cool and a good conclusion, we know the sequel's coming already. So like I can't even be like, look, this is a really good way to end an IP, because it's not. It's not the end of the IP. So like I can't. So it's it's no. It's a no for me. I like it a lot. You should watch it, but no.
Yeah. I don't have any reservation with labeling more than one movie in a franchise essential, but I think that for a sequel to be essential, it has to do something monumentally interesting, right? Because the idea has already been used, right? It's the sequel. And it has to stand up either as like something that is wholly watchable on its own, or that is something that became essential, maybe despite being a sequel. You know, something like Aliens or T2 or other James Cameron movies. And I loved this movie. I stand by the score, but no, I don't think it is essential because similar to what I said last week, I mean, I liked it quite a lot. But even if we're just discussing found footage, this one is a great Hell House movie, but isn't one that you could kind of watch like on its own. Like it's definitely the conclusion of a trilogy, and I love it for that. And if you're a fan, maybe even if you're a fan that liked the first one but didn't love the second one, I would say definitely still watch the third one
For sure.
But on its own, I'm gonna say no.
Boys, I fully agree with everything that's been said here. It just doesn't. It just doesn't have any bits that I think really make it stand out on its own. I mean, the running thing I've said in the past 2 episodes is, do you like formulaic movies? Boy, do I got a franchise for you. And I think that's kind of like an inherent flaw in the essentiality post the first one, effectively. Now, that may not be true for like all films, for example. Like there's plenty of films where, you know, it might not be the first one that's essential in that. I mean, you could kind of look at like Friday the 13th as a pretty good example of that.
We just did it with Ghoulies.
Exactly. But like my point is it's like, can we really say like Hell House LLC 3 Lake of Fire is essential when the first film we all think is better, we all think was interesting, had more, not more scares, but had scares in ways that were much more traditional. Like it was much more, you know, a refined found footage film. You know exactly what you're getting out of it. And this just isn't, it just, I don't know that it was ever really in a position to become essential. So, no.
But that asks the questions.
There is one other question. Exactly. You know where we're going.
Oh, I'm... Alan, please. You're the A of this show, please.
Is Hell House LLC, the franchise, essential to horror as a whole? Starting with Corbin.
Oh, spicy. Is Hell House LLC, the franchise, essential to horror? I am gonna say yes. And I'm gonna say yes because not only are all 3 entries great entries, not only is it a really solid found footage franchise, like literally 3 out of 3 are good, which is something that most found footage franchises cannot attest to. But also, this is a franchise that has been written and directed by one person the whole time. This is a single creative vision, and I think that is really incredible. And there's only one other franchise I can think of that even hits that, which is Child's Play. And so I think that, you know, for those reasons, like, yeah, Hell House as a franchise deserves the essentiality.
I'll go next. I came into this discussion saying no. I'm going to front load that. I came in going, I don't think so. And the reason for that was, while I enjoyed all these films, Hell House, the first one to me, is essential. And I fully stand by that statement. My thought process going into this was, I mean, it's the first film really is the one that kind of sets it up. And, you know, it's very identifiable as the franchise. Like, I could understand if someone just saw that first one and never saw anything else, like, that's all that there is for the Hell House. But there's this whole other franchise, other movies after it that exist within its lineage. Then we started talking more about this film. Then we started going through 3. Then we talked a little bit and kind of wrapped it all up. And I switched my own opinion on this midway through our discussion of this film. I think, yes, it is. And I think what kind of turned me around on it was this series of films is so much better than I think you would ever think it is from the outside looking in. I feel like you see Hell House LLC. I know when you guys told me we were watching that film many, many, many moons ago, I was like, what the fuck am I about to watch? What is this? And I was shocked at how, like, oh, this is amazing. Like, it threw me for a loop. And it made me go, huh, there's more here than I think. There's more here that I think is good for the wider horror audience as a whole. So, yes.
Yeah, no, the first movie alone, I think, makes an essential horror franchise. The fact of the matter is that this movie, while the sequels aren't essential, I would say that the franchise as a whole becomes essential because of how they built off the first movie. I think, like, again, it's a horror movie fans' horror movie, right? From the top to the bottom. It's just like, okay, so here we go. Like again, I'm comparing it to Star Wars. Fuck you guys for thinking I'm wrong on that if you are. I don't think any of you guys would, but fans-wise, if you think I'm wrong, you're stupid. This movie goes, hey, look, world building, and then boom, 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 more world, more world, more world. And, you know, I think that it works really well, and I think ultimately is the most successful a thing can be. So, yeah, absolutely. Watch all 3 movies, even though only one of them is technically essential by all of our metrics. But hey, speaking of Star Wars, The Empire Strikes Back, where are your guys' handles? Where can we find you guys?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at Corbangerang or at Bolters and Bourbon, where I tweet about, among other things, Star Wars on my main channel. I love that you use that as the example. I haven't tweeted about Star Wars a little bit, but I've been watching the Clone Wars.
Which one?
And the CGI, the full show. I
Which is also
have,
good, by the way.
It's amazing. But one of my, little holes as a Star Wars fan, little, depending on who you ask, is that I've never actually watched the Clone Wars all the way through. And so I'm watching it now all the way through. And so far it's really great. I love it. It's awesome. More Star Wars is always more better. I've felt that way my entire life. And the Clone Wars just came out at a weird time and I didn't watch it. So catching up on that now.
Was that when you were in college?
So the premiere movie came out in 2008. So the first couple seasons, high school, then college. So, and not to say that the Clone Wars is only for children, but it's just that's how it is.
Primarily
for
children.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think all Star Wars is primarily for children.
Yeah.
That's my maybe a hot take, but that's how
that
I
is the
feel
most
about the
lukewarm
franchise.
take you've had on this show.
Yeah, you think that's my most lukewarm take?
Yes.
I think that you should spend more time in Star Wars online fandoms and then say Star Wars is for children first and see how hot that take is. Because
all of them are stupid.
Listen. As somebody who has spent as much time in Star Wars fandoms as Corbin has, it's a hot take, and it's weird that me and him are together on that.
It shouldn't be,
No.
but it
I
is.
guess that's the way I'm looking at it.
In fact,
I look at it and go, "No, it's not hot."
in fact, if you were to be a grass toucher, you would say Corbin absolutely in no way, shape, or form should feel that Star Wars is for children, and I should be like, I don't even like this anymore because it's for babies. But I fucking love Star Wars. I don't care that it's not for me. It's fun. It's a very nice good versus evil, and Corbin agrees with me because it's for babies.
Absolutely.
And he's got kids. I know what this is about, and I'm here for it.
Oh man! Besides that, I have been playing Harry Potter Hogwarts Legacy, and I don't care. And it's pretty fun. I played it for like 2 hours. I like it. The other day I was going to play it again, but I didn't think I'd have very long to game, and I didn't want to get into like a big session, you know? So I decided to boot up instead this game I've had from Game Pass downloaded for a while called Dice Dungeon. And I played that game for like 4 hours. So that was like that was
So it turned into a long session.
I was hooked. It's like a roguelite, but you play as a living D6, and it's roguelite. So you go through a dungeon, getting upgrades along the way, and you roll dice every time, and you modify your results. No. Actually, in fact, I'll say the biggest downside of the whole game is that you don't see the dice get rolled, which really bothers me. But you modify D6 with your like combat cards, and then you you fight. It's just really fun. So. But yeah, at Core Bangering, at Bulgers and Bourbon. Thank you.
You can find me at a seal punter just about anywhere, where I'm just going to keep my hobby streak alive. I've been going strong. I'll be on day 15 or 16 today, I think. I'm going to paint some boys after the podcast. I got 2 Marines to paint. Found out that I've been an idiot with my painting because I should have been painting by numbers instead of doing the method I have been, because they turned out so much better. It's not even funny. But yeah, that's been it. I also picked up Hogwarts Legacy, played it for a bit. It's what I wanted it's what my imagination thought Chamber of Secrets was when I was playing that on the PS1 when I was 10 years old, which is great. I love it. Also got Dead Space remake. That game is so astoundingly good still. Like it's just, it might be the perfect survival horror experience. It really might be. That or Resident Evil 4 to me are just, and we get the remake of that in like 2 months.
Cannot wait.
It's such a good time to enjoy horror media in general. We've got a lot of great stuff coming out, and it's been great. But yeah, a seal puncher, just about anywhere.
You can find me at twitch.tv/theredweenie. First things first, trans rights are human rights. I'm sure we all agree with each other on that. That being said, I also played a little bit of Hogwarts Legacy. Listen, here's the thing. I'm just to get on my political soapbox for just a second. Harry Potter was a really important part of my life growing up, and I really like the fantasy of the genre, despite the fact that J.K. Rowling's a TERF and should not be associated with her literary work anymore. That's all I'm going to say on it. But also, yeah, trans rights, all that good shit. Besides that, been playing League, played a little bit of Halo with the boys over the weekend. You know, all that good stuff. That's where I'm at. So, you know, twitch.tv/theredweenie. Feel free to yell at me. I'll defend my points more succinctly there if you want to yell at me. I have thoughts on it. I can have those arguments. I feel really strongly about them, and I am not I'm not worried about people who are woker than me telling me I'm wrong. I'm a progressive and respect human rights, but you know, I like my dumb fantasy shit. Twitch.tv/theredweenie. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. And I mean, hey, you can find the podcast at Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Essential Scares. Yeah. We'd love it if you gave us a follow wherever you'd like to follow things. And in the bio for all of our socials is a link to our Discord where we talk every day about movies, music, games, and more, including, of course, horror. If you're interested in any of those things, or if you're interested in suggesting a franchise for us to cover in the future, hit us up. We are always taking recommendations, and we'd love to see what you want us to see. if you liked the show, give us a thumbs up, a rating, a review, a subscribe. It all helps the show, and it all makes us feel really good about still doing the show 83 episodes later. It's been an awesome time, and number go up is really kind of nice.
I like number go up.
That concludes our look at the Hell House trilogy for now. I think the fourth one is coming out this year, and we'll definitely cover it right away because it's a franchise we have in progress now. Thank you so much to Alan and Bobby for being on the show with me this week, and thank you in advance for hosting for me. Next 2 weeks, I am going on vacation, and
it's gonna be great.
While I'm gone, Alan and Bobby are going to be covering See No Evil, a duology of films from the mid-2000s and mid-2010s.
WWE Studios, we're bringing wrestling to my horror podcast!
I'm sure by the time I come back, we'll just be watching Friday Night Raw, and then that will be
It's
the whole
Monday Night
podcast.
Raw and Friday Night SmackDown, and then we'll
See?
also watch
There you
AEW Dynamite, the other company who is starting to wane a little bit. I like them more, but they're starting to wane a little bit.
That's a major oof. But you know, in the meantime, this is still
Friday
a horror
Night
show.
Raw. Unbelievable.
I am your host, Corbin, and this has been Essential Scares.
Play that intro breakdown, baby.